Alright, let's do this. This should be some fun.
Alright, this is gonna be a quicker video of mine. I just watched one of the most bonkers movies ever, and I thought I'd make a quick review on it because I have some thoughts about this one. So the other day I was on a Discord call with a couple of my friends because somehow I still have those. And one of my friends asked, I think as a joke, do you guys want to watch K-Pop Demon Hunters with me? Now, obviously, the first answer from everyone else was, no, that sounds dumb. What the hell is K-Pop Demon Hunters? And as you can probably guess from those very negative reactions, we all immediately got together, went to one of our houses, watched the movie, and had a blast. And after watching the movie, we all pretty much agreed, yeah, that wasn't really a good movie. And while that is what we initially thought, I'm way more conflicted now. And so now, here we are. 1 hour and 40 minutes later, I'm going to sit in front of a microphone and yap about a movie that I only watched because I thought it'd be funny. Here we go. Some more context, I do not consider myself a K-pop fan. Every once in a while, a friend will throw some K-pop song on the aux and I'll bop to it, but I definitely don't listen to it that much on my own time. Needless to say, I was not the target demographic for this movie, so I was not going into a movie titled K-Pop Demon Hunters with very high expectations. In the past, however, I've gone into movies I didn't expect to like and ended up loving. So I pushed this worry aside when going to watch this movie. And seeing that it was #1 on Netflix for a bit made me a little more optimistic for it. Maybe it's actually not that bad. Maybe the crazy title and probably weird concept isn't actually all that bad. Maybe it's a good movie. So I tried it out. Now, you know me, I really like to stay positive on this channel, so I'll start with mentioning the stuff I actually liked in the movie, and it's a bigger list than you might think. For one, I actually thought the overall concept was really creative. I mean, in theory, the idea of 3 women being chosen every year to sing and fend off demons with their beautiful 3-part harmonies is a wild concept, and I will always applaud a movie or any piece of art really that does something completely unnecessarily crazy and different. Whether that concept is executed well or not is out of the question. I'll just always appreciate when a movie does something different. And I thought for this movie, the execution of that concept was actually handled better than I thought. I like that the modern hunters are literally a K-pop group and demons make a boy band to fight against them. That's incredibly creative and I actually loved that. Also, the movie is occasionally funny. Definitely not always, I'll talk about that in a little bit, but there are a few moments where I did laugh out loud unironically. Some of the jokes are just really well written and or executed. And I did actually really like the main character, Rumi. She is one of the only interesting characters, if only for the fact that a hunter whose whole life is dedicated to killing demons is in fact a secret demon is an interesting concept. And I actually like where the story goes with that. It's not perfect, I'll talk about that later, but generally I liked her growth and character development throughout the movie. Also, I loved the action. Whenever there was a fight, whether it be important or not, it was really engaging. And I did think all of the fight scenes were well executed. Even the scenes on stage where there's no fighting going on were really cool and delightful. And most of my love for the action comes from the animation because it's very aesthetically pleasing. The colors are very nice, the characters are very fluid, it makes the action very entertaining. And I also loved the camera movements, the way they zip around the characters or the way they interact with the fight. It's very engaging and it's very fun. And the best part of the movie by so many good place points is the music. Pretty weird, right? I literally opened this segment by saying I'm not a K-pop fan, but I'm really annoyed to admit this. I actually really liked a lot of the songs. How It's Done is a banger and a really good intro song for the Hunters. Your Idol is a solid village song that fits the scene really well. Takedown is a generally good diss track, and while it isn't used all that much, I did enjoy listening to it whenever it showed up.
Now, I initially did not like Soda Pop at all, and that has changed. Now I actually think it's a very fun song. It's a little generic at times, but I do genuinely like it. I think the vibes are very enjoyable. It's overall a good song. Free is a good love song. That pretty much covers that. No, I'm joking. The song is really good. The chorus is really amazing, and the way the vocals go so high, it's very fun to listen to. And both of the singers sound very good together. It's overall a very good song. What it sounds like is really good. Basic message, but the vocals are exceptional. It's mixed really well. I like the part where it slows down at the end. It's great. But the best is, shockingly, Golden, which as soon as I stopped watching the movie, I threw on my playlist. I'm not joking. I left my friend's house with the song stuck in my head, and it still is, as I write this script and as I'm speaking into the microphone right now, still stuck in my head. It's actually a really well sung and overall produced song, and that goes for most of the music, but it really shines for this song. You could say it shines like gold.
stupid. I just really like it, and I recommend you listen to it even if you don't plan on watching the movie. And every song in this movie has really good singing, instrumentals, and technical aspects to it that make the movie an auditory joy. It's weird that the biggest thing I expected to hate in this movie turned out to be my favorite part of it. This movie really threw a curveball at me, and I'm pleasantly surprised with it. And while not a part of the movie, I also really like how they created individual artists on Apple Music for these fictional characters. That's honestly a really creative way to bring this bonkers movie into a little more tangible light. And now we get to the bad. What did this movie do that I didn't like? Well, for one, holy exposition. This movie is ripe with long and boring yap sessions where characters just blab unnecessary story points to the audience. It made the story kind of less interesting because it was explained to me like I was a toddler. These guys, good. These guys, bad. Do you understand, little Timmy? Okay, I could have picked that up by this guy being a literal demon. Thanks. I think if the movie had done more show don't tell, you know, one of the most basic storytelling techniques ever, I would have enjoyed the story a little bit more. But regardless, the story feels extremely stunted, especially in the beginning half because of this. The story goes boring expositional dialogue, followed by a K-pop song, followed by dull expositional dialogue, followed by a song, followed by lame exposition. That made the beginning half of this movie extremely jaded, and I was almost checked out, but I locked in when I thought, wait, I could make a video about this. And when the second half was significantly better, either one. And kind of connected to this is that the dialogue is so unrealistic. Maybe I'm a little too critical of this, but the dialogue is just not there. I do think that the Hunters actually have some good chemistry and work kind of well together. Good job, movie. You got 3 characters to feel a little alive together. But the rest of the characters, especially the demons, are not that. For example, Jinu. I feel like the actor for this character delivers all of his lines like he's trying to be Troy Bolton or something, but because of the lines he's actually given, it just doesn't really work. And that kind of tracks for pretty much every other character. They're just unnatural. And I don't necessarily blame the voice actors because sometimes they're just not given anything to work with. The character work is just not dynamic. They have like one personality trait and they cranked that trait to 100 and didn't give them anything else. This character is gruff. This character is energetic. This character is hot. And while sometimes these characters can be fun, I think the combination of poor dialogue and often flat characters really bring down any opportunity to connect with these characters. I did mention that I like the main character, and she is probably the only exception. Like I said, I like her internal conflict, and I like how her interactions with the demon world affect her perspectives and her choices, and she is by far the most lively character with a wider range of actual character to work with, but every other character is underdeveloped, stale, or boring to watch. Jinu is almost an exception because his backstory is definitely interesting, but his arc is so predictable and lame, and I honestly didn't like him that much. Add on the fact that that kind of interesting backstory was explained to me like I was literally 2 years old, and it just doesn't work for me. And the quote-unquote romance between him and Rumi, incredibly forced. And his sacrifice at the end was like, what? He just sang a whole ass villain song with a smile on his face about how he's a literal idol to these people, and now because she sang a cool little tune, you died for her? Huh? Sure, his backstory is interesting, but it's not enough to make this bland character actually tangible. Moving on though, I did say a couple jokes were good. Well, I did really mean a couple, because there were a whole lot of them that were not good at all. Part of that stems from the poor dialogue, as I mentioned, but it's also sometimes the editing or some other aspect of the movie that just makes the joke fall entirely flat. And other times the joke is just bad. For the most part though, I would say the jokes are just poorly timed. There's either too little or too much time placed in or after the joke that makes a lot of the jokes just not work. And the ending for this movie is so Huntrix goes on stage and crushes it. They're queens. Golden is fire. It's well animated and I enjoyed it way more than I expected. Whatever. But oh no, demons get on stage and pretend to be her co-stars and she runs away, confronts her real friends. They get mad at her. She runs away, tells her mom to murder her. Don't ask. And then she teleports away, seemingly joining the bad side. But no, she actually sings a little song about accepting herself for who she is. And the power of song and friendship saves the world because luckily the demons don't just eat everyone. They make everyone sit there and watch them perform a little live show. And don't try to stop Ruby until she's literally overpowered by the power of song and friendship, as I mentioned before. And then the movie ends. Everyone lives happily ever after, except the demons who are tortured for eternity. But ooh, this song is pretty fire. And this ending, while having great music, action, whatever, I covered this. It shockingly doesn't feel tense, which is crazy because the stakes are literally the end of the world. Like, how do you not make this tense? This is how the world ends. boy band. I guess the internal struggle of Rumi is a little interesting and tense, but it also feels like whatever, you know? It's a cool concept, but in practice, the iffy dialogue and some weird timings make it pretty awkward. Also, I'm just now thinking about it. The whole thing with her is like, I'm coming to terms with who I am. Like, I'm tired of hiding my marks from the world, and I'm gonna show the world who I really am. Sister, you're a freaking demon. Respectfully, keep that to yourself. This isn't like, oh, I'm shy and I'm scared to talk to other people at my school. I'm just gonna be myself and put myself out there. No, you're a literal soul sucker. Like, if I turn my brain off a little, I like the message. Basic, generic, whatever it is, it's a good overall theme. Be yourself, don't hide yourself. Awesome, I'm all for that. However, she's literal hellspawn. I think hiding all that is a good call. The allegory just doesn't really work for me. I will say this, most of my complaints and genuine problems with the movie come from that first half. The actual ending, even though I think it's kind of all over the place, it's kind of weird, it has its logistical problems, I do think is actually pretty solid. The final fight is great. The Golden and Takedown performances are also great. And there are some moments where I was like, okay, they're executing this concept pretty well. This is a pretty good ending. It's mainly the first half where the problems that I have with the movie start to rear their ugly head. The dialogue is weirder in this part than at the end. It's a lot more exposition because they're setting up the world and the characters, so that's also kind of bringing down this beginning half. Some of the timings are weirder than during the finale, and it really brought down the overall experience. I'll close my critiques with this. I definitely think this movie would have benefited with just a little more time. Something like 15 or even 30 more minutes would have actually made this movie really good. I genuinely, and I'm not afraid to admit this, genuinely loved the music, but because the movie is overall paced very poorly, it feels like they happen constantly and it dentons the overall quality of them. A little more time would have maybe smoothed out some transitions, given a little bit more time in between, making the overall experience much better. The characters are dull and often boring to watch, but 30 more minutes maybe could have been used to develop them, make the experience a little bit more enjoyable from a character standpoint, and this lack of time really leads to a lot of problems for a story that desperately wants more development. Like I said, the story objectively is very creative, it's very different, and just a little more development in maybe more creative ways if they had a little bit more time would have made the movie maybe unironically really great. But at the end of the day, what do I think about K-Pop Demon Hunters? Never thought I'd say that sentence out loud. I said a lot of good things and a lot of bad things, and I'm of the opinion that from a filmmaking viewpoint, because that's just the way I watch movies, that's just who I am, it is not a very good movie. I said this at the beginning. There are just too many logistical, technical, visual, etc. problems for me to ignore. But also, I had a good time watching it. It's not even an instance of it being so bad it's good, because there is a lot of good stuff in here. There are moments where I genuinely felt what I imagined the filmmakers wanted me to feel. There are characters that, while maybe bland, are enjoyable. There are cool moments, especially with the action and music. Scenes where I genuinely enjoyed myself, even as critical as I can be. And there's this feeling I get whenever I watch a movie where I just know whether the people behind it genuinely care about what they're making. And this is a movie I lump into that category because while I have a lot of problems with it, I see a lot of passion behind it and I appreciate a lot of what the movie does. But as a movie, yeah, what did I just watch? Did he just say
He said the title.
That's the title. That's the title.
He said the title. He said the
I spent an hour and a half watching K-Pop Demon Hunters, created by Netflix and frickin' Sony Pictures, and I'm somehow conflicted. Does anyone else get this where you go into something expecting to hate it, but then come out of it kinda liking it, and that makes you mad? It's not the same thing as when you come out of a movie loving it. That's different, but like, if you kinda like it, you're annoyed to kinda like it? No? Just me? Well, that's how I feel with this movie. It's pretty good, but there are some serious problems with this one that drag it down to a 6 out of 10 for me. If you want me to do more short reviews like this, let me know. I actually had a lot more fun with this than I expected. And I think doing a movie like K-Pop Demon Hunters is a pretty good place to start. It's campy, it's weird, it's exciting at times, it's poorly executed at times, but generally, I had a good time with it. I think that's pretty fun, and I think I'll keep doing this. I hope you all enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. God bless all of you. Have a good day, friends.